Raise your hand if you ever tried to love a woman so perfectly and she left anyway. Neurology shows a man's brain lights up like a slot machine when he performs niceness and gets praise. But the same man can become furious, resentful, and distant when his niceness doesn't earn him any points. And here's the twist. Real connection don't come from performing. It comes from revealing both your strongest and weakest self, the story behind it, and your struggle to improve. However, if you can't risk being fully seen like that, your niceness ain't love. It's negotiation. Bars. Women you're being nice to. She's casually enjoying the show. It's like seeing Usher backstage. Even if she let Usher hit, she's still waiting on Chris Brown to come out. Type bars in the comments if you get that. My name is Tijuana Jackson. I help grown folks finally get clear on their life direction. I use humor to teach what school skipped, church shamed, and your daddy dodged, because I believe that when you work through your pain, you get to serve through your purpose. I do free coaching for folks who's serious about real change. You want some of this free game? Links in the description. Quick story. Have you ever met a man so determined to be the best he ends up being the worst? That's me. Let me paint the picture. I'm 24, fresh out of probation, suited up like I just walked out a State Farm commercial, standing in a church lobby with a woman I don't even like. I ain't there for God. I'm there to prove to the world and myself that I'm not my pops. Not a liar, not a cheater, not the ghost. I met old gal at a women's empowerment brunch I had no business being at, trying to seem enlightened. I was out there dropping quotes from Ayana like I had a uterus. Every woman in there was healing from something, and I was in there trying to be their aspirin. What I didn't know was being the antidote to somebody else's pain is the fastest way to overdose on your own. She said she was healing. I heard she was available. She said she needed time. I heard she needed me. She said she had trauma. I said I fixed things. Let's stop right there. According to Dr. Jonice Webb, childhood emotional neglect leads to adults who feel fundamentally flawed and unlovable. In other words, inadequate as but instead of acting out, they become hyper-responsible, overly accommodating, sometimes unable to say no. That's what I was. Not kind, not noble, just terrified of rejection and addicted to approval. When you grow up watching a man who don't show up, whether he ghosted you, caused chaos, or just stood silent while chaos unfolded, you start thinking love is earned by doing what he never did. Staying, fixing, sacrificing, sometimes for people who don't even deserve it. So I stayed, paid bills I couldn't afford, took care of kids that wasn't mine, took her rage and entitlement as if I was the man who'd abandoned her throughout her childhood. Why? Because somewhere in my trauma-twisted mind, her pain was proof that I was doing it right. And whenever I did snap and start saying some shit back to her, her ego was so fragile she'd literally break and be down for days, sick, like she had food poisoning. Partly because her feelings were so hurt, and partly because her neurological system would fry every time she was hit with the reality that she couldn't control or gaslight a that ran on diesel. Bars. My stripper friend found this study at the University of Michigan that says men with early exposure to volatile households exhibit elevated activity in the amygdala, the brain's threat detector. That means even as adults, we scan relationships like war zones, looking for ways to neutralize threats by people pleasing, suppressing our needs, and performing safety. Translation: you ain't loving her, you managing her. Bars. And in my experience, men who grew up neglected like me often choose women who don't need management, they need medication. Bars. This is a story I'm probably gonna regret telling. One night I come home from work, tired, sweaty, beat down, smelling like an air fryer, only to find her crying on the couch. I ain't even get to put my keys down. She talking about she don't feel heard, which I found ironic coming from a woman who spent the night in jail because she couldn't listen at her own court hearing. You don't prioritize me. You don't make me feel safe. Meanwhile, I got a negative account balance, her son's karate tuition in my wallet, and I just spent 2 hours on the freeway thinking of ways to pawn my PS4 without looking broke. But she wasn't wrong. Though we were together, I spent most of my time trying to avoid her. Her mood swing, her volatility, her constant blaming, her gaslighting, her lack of self-awareness, her victimhood, her chemical imbalance and denial. And that's when it hit me. I was dating my guilt. Not her, not her dreams, not her sense of humor, not even her body, though she did have that gorilla grip with the good slip. I was in a full-blown relationship with the version of me I was trying to redeem. The version of me I was trying to prove I was not. And the sad part is, I didn't even realize I was reenacting my childhood. By the way, now would be a good time to hit the like button if you like something, and if you're motivated as hell, hit that notification bell. But if you really want to see this channel grow, share this with your folks. Bars. I remember hearing Dr. Gabor Mate say, trauma is not what happens to you, it's what happens inside of you as a result of what happens to you. And what happened inside of me was this: I confused being needed with being wanted. Bars. So anytime I wasn't fixing something, her mood swings, her finances, her abandonment issues, her kids' needs, I felt useless. And when I felt useless, I panicked. And when I panicked, I'd overcompensate, like a stripper losing her shape. Let me tell you how deep it got. I started thinking about proposing, not because I loved her, because I couldn't stomach the idea of her going through life without a man who finally showed up. Let that sink in. I was ready to make a lifelong commitment just to prove I could be consistent. You ever love somebody so hard you forget to check if you even like them? That's when I knew this wasn't love. This was emotional atonement. In other words, I felt obligated to pay emotional reparations for some shit another nigga did to her. Bars. I felt obligated to pay emotional reparations for the shit my daddy did to my mama. Bars. Fine, I say it. A lot of these dudes treat kindness like it's crypto. Make a deposit, expect a return. But when the payout don't come, they crash, resent her, withdraw. Because deep down, he ain't loving her. He just trying to redeem his mama's broken heart with his role self, not his real self. Type bars in the comments if you get that. That's why the nicest dudes become the most manipulative once they don't get picked. Well, what if I told you your good guy act screams of abandonment issues? You ever sit in your car outside your own house, engine running, just trying to gather the strength to walk through the front door? That was me every damn day, because deep down, I knew she didn't want me. She wanted a body double for closure, a do-over, somebody to reenact her past but give it a different ending. And I played that part so well, Wody, I deserved a daytime Emmy and a free session with Dr. Phil. But let me be real, there's no version of love where you keep getting cast as the emotional janitor. She wanted to be loved unconditionally, but she couldn't tell the truth unconditionally. She wanted emotional intimacy, but used gaslighting and manipulation as a safety net. And I thought I was being patient. Nah, I was just spiritually codependent. But here's the reversal, it needs no rehearsal. I chose her dependent ass, knowing she was both emotionally and financially dependent. Then, when she stayed true to form, I resented her for being exactly who she'd been since day one. So who was actually the bigger asshole? Ding, 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 ding. I wasn't showing up for her. I was hiding from myself behind her chaos, because the more broken she was, the more useful I felt. The moral to the story is, performing like a good man don't make you one. Bars. My name is Tijuana Jackson. I'm the people's mentor. Are you getting it now? You're starting to understand what I do. You're starting to understand how I help folks see themselves on a deeper level so they can actually heal. This is what I do in my online community. This is what I do in my free coaching. Links is in the description. You know how stupid it feels to be a grown man in his mid-20s realizing for the first time you were more interested in a woman's praise than that woman's vagina? And here's the truth about men out there acting like kings and calling themselves kings. They only feel royal when somebody's clap. I mean, it makes sense now. If your childhood was basically an ongoing self-esteem beatdown, you'll spend your entire adulthood desperately trying to escape the feelings of worthlessness running through your veins. Me and old girl had this huge blow up and agreed to call it quits. The day she and her kids left, I felt relief. Not heartbreak, not devastation, relief. Like I'd just been exonerated for a wrongful conviction. That's when I had to confront something ugly. I wasn't just trying to fix her. I was trying to fix my mama. And the moment I stopped treating that woman like a second chance at childhood redemption was the moment I started treating myself like I deserved peace, even if my peace was an inconvenience to others. The nice guy act seemed like a crock of shit suddenly, a full-blown costume. Look, man, this nice guy behavior is exhausting, which is why you keep flip-flopping from savior to snapper turtle. Bars! Don't kid yourself. You can't earn love through perfection. You can't fix nobody. So stop choosing dependent partners. Stop this nice guy act. Start choosing people who respect your character but challenge your excuses. Take it from me, once you stop being the man who needs to be needed, you'll become the man who is a lot more honest and gets a lot more top. Bars. Look, dog, freedom starts with honesty, which is damn near impossible for anybody running from shame, which I explain much more in depth in this video right here.